We're about to go for another take.
Action.
The idea for the film came to me in a dream. I woke up and I thought, what if Pablo Picasso was set in modern graffiti subculture? I wanted to be a coming-of-age story, so I started looking at Pablo Picasso's coming of age. That's what the whole story was based on, how tragedy can inspire creativity. In the 80s, I was involved with graffiti a little bit. I was actually more involved with breaking as a b-boy, and our crew, Fantastic Force, held down the Bay Area from like 85, 86. So that's all I did. I was just, possessed with b-boying. And a lot of my friends were really into graffiti, and I would catch tags and, rack paint. We'd do pieces once in a while, but it didn't consume my life. And especially I got arrested, come from a point in my lifestyle where I didn't want to be in trouble anymore. My involvement definitely gave me the perspective, like I know the motivation for wanting to write your name on somebody else's property. And when I wrote the script, I was definitely writing it from an 80s perspective, and it was very dated. Brian was actually originally brought onto the project to provide feedback for the script. He was, I've known Brian since he was 12 years old. He was my neighbor. I was in college, and he was this, 12-year-old skater kid next door. And so, I kind of brought the kid up. So I just called him up out of the blue and said I was working on this project, and I wanted him to take a look at the script because I knew he was involved with graffiti a little bit. So, he started giving me feedback from the script, and he was holding back a little. And I said, Brian, just let me have it. You're not going to hurt my feelings. So he started getting a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper, and then I finally started saying, well, it sounds like you have a good idea of how this scene is written. Why don't you take that scene? So he started rewriting scenes. And then he just started getting confident, and really coming into his own, and ended up rewriting the whole script. So, then I went down to visit Brian in the city in San Francisco and saw really where he was at with graffiti, and I was pretty blown away. I didn't really realize.
The insight that he brought to the story, it wasn't just about, here's a guy who knows the graffiti subculture, and he brought authenticity, and he put the characters and the relationship into the forefront.
Fucking you assholes.
Nobody does it. I think you're being way too overt about it.
Ben and Brian are old friends, and Brian, both of them actually, have very strong personalities. There was great conflict on the set at times, and it was really difficult. I don't say this in like a blame-placing way at all, but it was a real challenge.
I used to cry tears, now I have a criteria to stay true to my peers from my core to my exterior. Used to ball my eyes out.
This is raw filmmaking. This is gritty shit. There's no honey wagons here. Nobody's getting pampered. This is what filmmaking should be. It's just like, tell your story, make it happen, and you don't need $100 million.
So Lane Garrison, he had a little experience with graffiti like a lot of people do, but he was not a writer. And, in talking to Brian about it, we decided we need to teach him some basic stuff. So we had him just practice doing straight lines, like as straight as can be. And he got that down to where he could fake it. And we actually cast another lead out of LA who dropped out about a week out. Brian wanted the lead role for, the whole time he was involved in the project. And then our actor drops out at the last minute, so it was just a no-brainer. Brian jumped in there, and the movie, wouldn't have been the same without him. There was one scene in particular, the liquor store scene. I gave Brian the freedom to improvise a lot, but there's a limit. And with the liquor store scene, there were certain milestones in that scene that had to be hit. And to top it all off, every take he was going inside and grabbing a tall, malt liquor and drinking it and then going in again. 8 beers into it, he was feeling a little lightheaded, and he couldn't finish the scene.
And it's tough because he wasn't able to hit his lines, He was so in the present moment, he wasn't able to stay with the script and stay on script, and that frustrated the director, Ben, frustrated Lane.
And the folks came out to have a smoke.
The crew was tired, so everybody was out of there in minutes. We had a little huddle after Brian took off.
It's more important what's going on in Brian's head. He needs to know that he didn't work out, but that, yeah, it's not a complete failure.
He had to struggle at it, but I think his performance was, electrifying, especially for someone who's never acted before.
Brian would frequently drive us crazy trying to direct the movie or trying to rewrite it on the fly, but he was always doing it from a place of what's best for the movie.
Perfect example was the party scene.
You're alone?
Yeah, I guess we could say that.
Okay.
We needed a full room. Not just a full room of people, but a full room of the people who should be at that party. So Brian Burnham gets on his cell phone, and I think we had like 75 people and show up as extras for that scene. And we shot, I think, 13 pages of script, but when we were shooting dialogue scenes, everybody had to completely shut up.
Everybody, please be quiet. Thank you. We're about to do the stage.
Okay, here we go.
Really cooperative, really supportive, just phenomenal. And we had Topper there, who's underground rapping legend, and you got Sam Flores in the room, who did the artwork for that scene. Tajay, obviously, who plays Dino in the movie from Souls of Mischief, who's a rap legend. And then we had D Sharp DJing. It just was this real warm feeling, like this is the culture that we're shooting it in, and here they are coming out to support us. We couldn't have done that without them. We couldn't have made the movie without them, for sure. That scene specifically, that just kind of said it all to me, and it just made me realize, wow, man, these guys are really getting behind this movie, and it was really encouraging.
But remember, we quiet on the set.
I think the main issue was manpower, that we just didn't have the manpower. We had a cameraman who did have an assistant, but a sound man who didn't. We basically had this documentary configuration so that we could capture things in real time.
The core of our crew, the professionals who were actually shooting the movie, they were rock solid professional.
Maybe she could even be more off the side,
Hey, Daryl.
We were able to sign on an amazing DP, Kev Robertson, and basically said, I am going to make sure this movie happens. We were able to then get an AC. We were able to then get a sound guy. We were able to get a gaffer, production assistants, because we had the momentum of a good core crew. At the end of the day, it's a team sport. Making a film is a team sport. We're reaching for something that is beyond our grasp.
Once we realized we weren't going to have any money, we adopted the graffiti model. Graffiti writers can create these compelling, powerful pieces with no money, with little or no resources, and infected the whole crew with it. So everybody got it, like that we were going to act like graffiti writers. We were going to have to go and get in and get out, and literally before we get busted, because there were times when we were, at risk of getting busted.
I mean, we're permanent. We're totally legal. Everything's fine. Really, it's totally fine. Really.
Here I have my friend, Mr. Soundman.
We had this one incident where our production van, our grip truck, somebody came by and hit it.
No, they were here, and Daryl chased after the guy, I guess, but he wasn't able to get a plate number or anything.
And so this door's dented, and we're like, we don't have money. Well, the next day, Mika, one of our producers, goes to a scrapyard and finds a van door. So all the PAs are out there, putting this new door back on. The door cost us like $40 or something, and it was going to cost us like $500. And we had insurance, but that wouldn't have covered it. It would have been our deductible. $500.
This happens to be it. It's very stylish. It's actually an upgrade on the old one.
The other great thing is that it really builds teamwork.
Like you say, like blood boogers.
Well, yeah, and it's like,
We got Oreo cookies. We got Oreo cookies.
Whatever the hell it's doing.
And there was another time when we had to make blood. We had to make fake blood. So we get the whole team in the kitchen, and everybody's around it, and everybody's like giving their 2 cents, and
Nice.
I think we just cracked the top a little.
From the nose.
Oh, we found a recipe.
It's those kind of moments, you build this family environment on the set that you just don't have on a big production.
Even though you got no resources, find a way to make it happen with a hot team and being creative, because solving problems with money, wasn't an option for us.
We went out on Mission Street, which is one of the busiest streets around, and just went for it. And it just so happened that as we're shooting it, this guy in a van looks over, he thinks it's real. Everybody on the street stops and thinks it's real, and they're all checking it out. Like, whoa, what's going on? This guy in the van, turns into vigilante guy and tries to cut Brian off, and Brian sneaks out. The guy follows him, gets on his cell phone, starts calling him in. And
I pull him out and I was like, fuck, he's like, what the hell? Then this yellow big old bus comes, it's just like, and I just weasel by.
If we would have shot that scene, conventionally, we would have had to shut down Mission Street. We would have had to hire shitloads of extras that we can't afford. And it may not have came off like it came off. It came off like a real carjack. So, you got to be resourceful and creative when you get in your shot. Graffiti writers have just come to accept that their pieces are impermanent.
There's this connection with what goes on with the sand mandala. It's just about the process, and it's going to be swept away. And it's not about the finished piece.
And so it was a great concept, but in practice, how are we going to make this sand mandala? So then we got Brian Dawson involved, who is our artistic director who did a lot of our graffiti art. So Brian came up with this idea to create a sand mandala foam core.
It looks better to me.
So we just put a little bit of the appropriate colored sand over the sand mandala so that it looked three-dimensional, and as Dino's doing it, it looks real, it comes off.
Well, it's a sand mandala. Each grain of sand has to find its perfect place.
At the end of the day, it's a team sport. Making a film is a team sport. You work together and you make it happen, and we were able to. I don't think the production was really the craziest part of the project. I mean, it was definitely intensive, but it wasn't like 700% more. I mean, the pre-production, all the stuff we've been doing since then, has been at times just as crazy. It is definitely not an art form for lazy people. Watched it for the first time, was amazed. I mean, I literally cried like the first dozen times I saw the film. I mean, it was just so emotional because so much went into it, and I knew that we had something good.
We applied to a bunch of film festivals, and we didn't get into Sundance, which everybody wants to get into Sundance. It's the big dream.
To me, at the time, that was like the moment that I felt like I was really, truly a filmmaker. To submit your film to Sundance. I mean, we couldn't control whether it got in or not. To know that we actually had stepped up to the plate and we're at the game now, was huge.
Then we got accepted to Berlin. Berlin's a huge festival. It's one of the top 4 festivals in the world, amazing festival. And we were definitely the punk band at the talent show.
Connection, rejection, your tears won't carry me home. Completely forget me, just let it go, now it's time to move on.
But we had huge turnouts, and we had more people show up for our screenings than anybody in our category. And actually at the end of the week, spread, you know, through the graffiti subculture and through youth and so on, that we packed that show. It was like our most sold out show. So from that point on, we sold out every screening that we've done at film festivals. We just had an amazing turnout. People are packing the theaters. And so far we've had a really strong response, and we hope that to continue through theatrical. You know, with quality of life, there was many, many reasons to give up. You know, we couldn't get the money. Our lead actor drops out. You know, I got fired from my job. It's just a million reasons why we shouldn't make it.
Why are we doing this? What? You know, you gotta ask yourself. It's like we haven't made any money. It's taken time and energy, you know, stressed out our significant others and friends don't even call us back anymore. And all the hard work, I mean, working late, I mean, I would work my 8-hour day job and then work until 2 in the morning. I mean, night after night after night. And now that is like just this amount of the work that we've done on this project. I feel like we climbed like this giant mountain and we got to the clouds and we were just blown away by the view. And where we are now, I can barely see the top of that mountain. It's so down below. So it's a lot of work. If this was anything else, there'd be an intervention and we'd be in like a 12-step group right now.
Say, Jimmy, you're not playing.
That's the bass, man.
We premiered at the Berlin International Film Festival, which is one of the top 4 festivals in the world, right up there with Sundance and Cannes and Toronto. We assumed just by showing up, executives at distributors, that we'd be fighting them off with a stick, we'd have bidding wars, and we didn't really have anybody talk to us. For aspiring filmmakers, plan for the real plan, which is that you're gonna have this movie at the end of it and no one's gonna care about it but you, and go out there and get it out there yourself. But that also means that you're not just a filmmaker, you're also a business person. So learn about business, because that's the only way you're gonna be successful, is if you control your destiny. That's what we've had to do. So what do? We actually rented a theater. We did what everybody in the industry says you should never do. That it's 4-wall. It's literally, we bought a theater, got flyers printed cheaply, and went there and got in their face.
So it's going to be a very personal process for us to distribute this film, meeting with people on the streets and doing Q&As and, you know, shaking people's hands. And
the internet, though, played a key role as we moved from San Francisco to New York. We actually had interns on MySpace essentially 24 hours a day, and we were able to basically, in New York, open up with spending $0 on advertising. So for home video, because we had done our own self-distribution in theaters, we said, let us take on the hip-hop stores or the graffiti outlets and so on, and also be able to sell off our website, that we wanted to say, hey, check out our movie, buy from us, support the filmmakers. And I have to say, all of these methods were working. Only one stood head and shoulders above all of them, and that was word of mouth. That if people saw this film, if it could just get out there, more people will see it. And that is probably what kept us going more than anything else,